Welcome to the BCRC show, the show that advocates that BC resources should make BC jobs. I am your host, Clint Chappell. Super excited to be doing this on a Tuesday. Again, big shout out to my wife. It's her birthday tomorrow, and my daughter, it's her third birthday on Thursday. So really looking forward to celebrating with my wife and my daughter here this week. So I can't wait for that. Next thing, I just want to thank all essential and frontline workers who are currently keeping us safe from COVID-19. Keep up the great work. We're really appreciative of everything you guys are doing. And last thing, again, guys, please support local business. They really need your help right now, as we all know with the COVID-19 situation. We need to be supporting local business, because if we don't, they're not going to be there in 2021. So let's really make sure we're going to the restaurants. If you're not comfortable with that, order skip the dishes, call them, get them to deliver it, whatever it takes. Let's just make sure that we are supporting local businesses. So my guest today is Abigail Fulton, Executive Director of the Construction Foundation of BC. How's it going today, Abigail?
Going great, going very good, and very happy to be here.
Well, we're very excited to have you on. I know El Presidente was really looking forward to having you on here, as everyone knows him as Willie Manson. I know him as El Presidente, and I will not change from that story. So, so let's just get into it right now, Abigail. Let's talk about the Construction Foundation. How did you get started in it? What is your mandate? Tell us about it.
Okay, happy to. The Construction Foundation was basically birthed out of industry. So for a couple of decades, I worked as the Vice President of the BC Construction Association. And in that role was very involved working with industry, dealing with apprenticeship, workforce development, those kinds of issues. And it became pretty clear to me that there was an opportunity to start a charity to really focus in on workforce development, specific to the trades. So around 2012, we got started. We developed the first board, which is represented mostly by contractors. And we became a separate entity. And I left the BC Construction Association, moved over to the foundation, and away we went. Basically started with nothing, no funding, and just simply grew from there. And the mandate of the foundation, which hopefully is of interest to your listeners and a lot of certain employers that are out there, our mandate is to help build the next generation of skilled workers in British Columbia.
Well, that's something that I think we need. I mean, we always have to be looking to the future. We can't be relying on the past, even though we respect the past and we understand the foundations that they've put in. We really got to be looking towards the future to make sure, we're ready for it, that we're ready to have that next generation of workers. And I'm guessing, the reason why you feel such a charity was needed in Canada, I would imagine, kind of fits in that lines too.
Well, I mean, absolutely. There are a number of reasons why I think such a charity, the time is right for a charity such as this. For one, you'll know, or a lot of folks know, there's definitely a skill shortage out there. It's not constant, it's not in every trade all the time, but there's definite peaks and valleys. And we anticipate over the next 10 years, even with COVID, that skill shortages are going to increase. So first of all, we need more skilled workers. We also know to fill those shortages, we're probably looking at 1 out of every 5 high school students needs to go into the trades. And currently you're looking more at 1 out of 70 go into the trades. So there's a real disconnect there that needs to be addressed in Canada, not just in BC. But I also think, and one of the reasons I think that this charity is important is there's been a real shift away from applied learning. I don't know about you, I grew up on a farm. And I think talking to you earlier that maybe your roots are farming, and probably a lot of folks in the north are going to relate to this. But my great grandfather homesteaded in Manitoba and had a grade 4 education. He learned everything, by doing, through experience. And book learning was something you did, after work, and was really special. And as the generations have gone by, more and more opportunities came up to go to school. right? And everybody wanted to go to school because it was a way to get off the farm. You know, you were doing too much work on the farm. But gradually we've moved away from that. And, you know, current generations have not grown up on farms. They've grown up in urban environments. And I think they've lost that connection to the land. They don't know how to build things. They don't understand how things work. And I think that's a real shame. You know, whether you end up being a doctor, a lawyer, or an electrician, you still know you need to know how things work in the world. And if you don't get that opportunity as a young person to learn that way, I think you're really losing out.
I 1000% agree with you. I grew up in the generation that you're talking about that doesn't know how to do stuff. I grew up on the farm, so I'm very fortunate that way. We working on the tractors, working with the animals, working on the land, building the fences, barns. And yes, it was a pain in the rear end when I was younger, but I'm very fortunate and I'm very thankful for the opportunity that my parents gave to us and all six of us in the family that we grew up and we learned, you learn, quite frankly, you learn about life and death. You learn about hard work, as I say on almost every single show. If I had a tattoo, it would say work first, play later, because my dad said
Absolutely.
that about 5,367,203 times.
Well,
And I
it's true.
yeah, it was quite a bit. I have a little tally board.
You're
But
one
yeah,
of
no.
those you're one of those mythical farm boys that contractors in the lower mainland are always looking for.
Yeah,
Find me a
100%.
farm boy or a farm girl.
You can find a lot of fake ones, but yeah, it was fun, and I wish my kids could grow up the same. But quite frankly, farming prices and to buy farms are not the same as what it used to be, so it's a little struggle that way. But
So what do we do about that?
you know, if I had that answer, I think I'd be running for office. I don't know what do you think the answer is?
Well, I think for one thing, whereas schools used to be places for book learning, I think now we need to take another look at our school system, K to 12 and higher education, and recognize that it's not book learning that they need anymore. They can get that on the internet. They can get that in a variety of different places. They need more applied learning in the school system, K to 12 and beyond. So one of the things we advocate strongly at the foundation is more applied learning in the schools, connecting young people to programs that they're going to learn their math, but they're going to learn it in an applied way.
Oh, if you want to do a whole nother show, I can do it right now about how we should
Well, let's
reform the
go.
education system. I think there's certain stuff that you learn in education. Listen, everything's useful, but I don't need to know about the Russian oligarchs. I don't need to know about certain math skills that I'm never going to use. I think we need to be teaching these kids a whole bunch of different things about our forefathers, about like the pros and cons about them, because there is some cons that they're not all good. And we need to be teaching them how to use their hands more. Like
What
why
about
do we
our
have to
four
play?
mothers?
Yeah, for mothers, for fathers, exactly. You have to be teaching people more about these situations, and also, why do we need to learn about volleyball or whatever sport it is? Like, I've played sports my whole life, but there's certain ones we can kick out. We can say, you know what? Let's teach these people literally how to build a fence.
I actually would disagree with you on that. I think sports are really key.
Yeah.
One of
certain sports, though. I think there are some sports that you don't need to teach. I can't think of them in my head right now. Maybe it was
pickleball. No.
Yeah, stuff like that you really don't need. Like, it's a 2-week badminton course. Teach the basketball, the volleyball, the hockey, whatever. But there's certain stuff.
I went to the provincials playing badminton when I was in high school.
Yeah,
so
I picked a sport that obviously clicked in your head a little bit. I've upset you. The first ever upset guest on the BCRC show, Abigail Fulton.
I'm going to storm out of here.
Let's go. So let's get back on track. Actually, you know what? Let's do a quick thing here. If you guys haven't followed us on Instagram, please make sure you follow us at the BCRC on Instagram, on Twitter as well, BC _resources. Follow us on LinkedIn. Anywhere social media is available, make sure you follow the BCRC to get all your BC resources should make BC jobs gear. Go to the website, buy some hoodies, some t-shirts, whatever it takes. Also download the podcast, the BCRC podcast. It's phenomenal. It's lots of fun. I have lots of fun doing that. And also make sure you guys read the blogs. So let's get back to this, Abigail. Has the foundation connected with the resource sector in BC? How is that kind of going?
Sure. Well, first I'm going to tell you a little bit about our programs, so you have a sense of what we're actually doing. Because when you hear the word foundation, a lot of people just go to, oh, you're collecting money and you're handing it out. That's not really what we do. We are a registered charity, and we run a number of programs. And the first one that we ever ran when we first started as a charity was called Project Shop Class. And I just want to say a few words about that, because the North was incredibly, both the North contributed heavily to that program, but also the schools across the North benefited in a big way. We went out and tried to figure out, there's a big push on more trades training and so forth. And we went and talked to all the shop teachers across BC and discovered that they hadn't had an upgrade in their equipment since the 60s. And it was rather shocking, to say the least. Now, there was a few outliers that had a bit of new equipment, but most shop classes, if they still existed in BC, hadn't had any new equipment. So we set out and raised a bunch of money. We raised almost $4 million and handed it out, I think $1 million of which went to schools in northern BC, so that they could have the latest, greatest shop class equipment. And we got a lot of support from contractors and funding organizations in the North to make that happen. And we're still going on. We have different schools who come to us at different times looking for money to buy equipment. And we also give them secondhand equipment. So if there's anybody out there who wants to get rid of some of their equipment, definitely give us a call. Maybe we can hand it off to a school. We also have a program called Skills Ready, which operates in the K-12 and is really focused on closing the gaps between youth in school and industry. You often hear industry saying, what happened to youth? There's no good youth out there. Nobody wants to go into the trades. There's no secondary school apprenticeship. There's a real misunderstanding of what's actually going on in the schools. And at the same time, you hear from, there's a terrible mismatch from the schools to industry. You may have good shop classes. You may have kids that are interested, but they really have no clue, and neither do the teachers know how to connect them with jobs. Now, you will know, most people who are out there in the trades understand that apprenticeship doesn't begin till you get a job first. So we felt it was really important to start making those connections and making sure that kids who are interested are getting that opportunity and are finding that bridge over to their first job that will lead to an apprenticeship. So we're pretty busy with that. We're pretty busy focusing in on the teachers, seeing them as key to getting more kids interested in the trades. So we are developing a lot of resources that teachers can use to teach applied learning in their programs in school. So electrifying math, for example. Mm-hmm. And that's all on our website. It's all free. It's all downloadable. We do all kinds of workshops for teachers, even the teachers that aren't yet teaching but are still in education at BCIT or wherever. We'll go in and do workshops with them to help them open their minds to the possibilities of the trades and how to teach them and introduce them to kids. Oh, that's a long sentence. I'll have to have some water.
It's all good. That's a lot of good information there. So the website you said there, do you happen to know the website, what the website is off by hand? Or?
It's real easy. It's constructionfoundation.ca.
Perfect. So if you guys need anything from the constructionfoundation.ca, I'll put it in the comment section here and you guys can click on it. Again, if you guys have any questions, I see some people watching, please feel free to ask questions to Abigail. I mean, she's game to answer anything, including badminton questions, because I'm sure
totally
remembers a lot about that. So there we go. So next, let's move into.
I've only just begun on the programs, but I'm seeing you glazing over, so I don't want to go too far. But you need to know, and anybody listening needs to know, we're also really active working with underutilized groups. So
there we go.
Women. We work as closely as we can with multiple Indigenous communities who are wonderful. And keep in mind, all those folks out there looking to hire people, Indigenous youth are truly those mythical farm boys and girls out there, whether you know it or not, still connected to the land, have tons of skills and are really, I really would like to see better connections between industry and Indigenous communities, because I see so much opportunity and so much skills.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I agree to that. I definitely agree. I mean, the last episode we did, and on the podcast coming out, we talk a lot about women in trades and kind of, how to get more women involved in trades. And I think if anyone wants to kind of see some of that, if you view the latest episode that we had with Ali Blades from CAP and Canada, Canadian Energy Citizens, her and I had a really good open conversation about that. So go back and view those, and she has some really neat
Sure.
ideas about how we can
We
help.
could have another show on women in
Oh,
the
for sure,
construction
yeah.
sector. I'd like to
I
talk
have
about that.
I have 3 sisters. I have 2 daughters. I really think that we need to be pushing more women in trades, because quite honestly, men have a different perspective on things, and so do women. And why wouldn't we want to use more diverse thinking in
Totally. And women are typically better
yeah,
tradespeople.
well, when it comes to certain stuff
Attention
like
to the
math and
detail.
stuff, yeah, I don't I agree with that. I think we're equal, but I think we both
I'm
have
not prepared to go there.
I think both sexes have their pros and their cons. I just think we need to show more equal more balance in the trade. So I got a question here from the audience. Does your organization have any bursaries or scholarships?
Oh, yes. I was going to get to that, but you keep cutting me off.
I have not cut you off once. This has gone off the rails. It's Tuesday. It is just
happy Tuesday.
Now this is now the podcast.
All right. No, yes, absolutely we do. We have apprenticeship grants. We had we were blessed by LNG Canada a couple of years ago. They set up a $1.5 million apprenticeship training fund. And over the last few years have handed out a ton of money to pay for apprenticeships in the trades. We also have the Mod Electric fund that pays for, we have scholarship opportunities, and that deadline frankly is coming up in August. So if anybody, any young women out there in particular interested in getting into the electrical trade, they should apply. We have the John Cunningham Fund, which was set up to support apprenticeship. John Cunningham was a wonderful character out of northern BC, who, when he passed, his widow set up a fund in his name. We have a new fund that's getting set up that's managed by the BC, oh geez, that acronym is BCMMAC. It's the Metal Manufacturers Advisory Group. Hope I got that right. Anyway, they're setting up a fund, and because we do a lot of work with different groups. For example, Vancouver Island Construction Association has a fund for bursaries. Southern Interior Construction Association has a fund for bursaries, and frankly, the North needs a fund for bursaries. Talk to us. We want to set them up. We do all the work. We organize it. We make it simple. We enable employers or anybody donating to get a charitable receipt. And we allow the folks setting up the fund to decide who gets the bursaries. So yes, very supportive of apprenticeship training and handing bursaries. We also have a fund to help young people, particularly youth at risk. We help them get their driver's license. We've noticed, maybe not such a big deal in the North, I'm not sure, but certainly in the Lower Mainland, youth are just not getting their driver's license anymore. So we step up and try to make that happen.
Yeah, I have noticed the driver's license thing. I think that's a little bit of a odd, even up here, we have a little bit of that issue. It's a really odd thing. When I turned 16, I was like, oh, let's go. Let's get it done. So just so everyone knows who's watching this too, we've actually shared on our on the BCRC page about the MOT, the Women in Trades program here. So if you ever need any more information about it, please just scroll down a couple posts. You'll see the post that we did a couple hours ago, honestly 3 hours ago. What would be your advice for young person considering their career options? Like, what type of advice would you tell someone who's even 16, 18? What's your advice for those type?
Well, unfortunately, I would like to give them advice before they're 16 or 18, because it's almost like they're going down the trail, probably the wrong trail already. But my advice would absolutely be get a trade. Get out there, learn before you just, if you may want to go to university at some point, fill your boots, but I would say absolutely get a trade first. It sets you up for life. It teaches you things that you're never going to learn in a university setting, and will help you be a more successful student when you do go to university, if that's what you want to do. So absolutely, I would strongly recommend to youth to take a look at the trades.
I can fully 1000% say that I went to university and I should not have gone. I mean, some really good things came from university. My amazing wife, my family that I have now, that we have now had two beautiful daughters. So a lot of good things personally came from university. But as far as work wise and everything, no, I wasn't. I mean, I got in. I wasn't fit to go to university. I should have been in the trades
Whoa, what do you
right
mean
away.
you weren't fit to go to university?
That's true, 100%. I should have been in the trades from the time I was
No,
16.
no, 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 no,
Yeah, I should have been.
no, no,
And you know
no.
what? A lot of good stuff came from it though, and I'm very, very happy that that happened. Now, in saying that, university did teach me a lot of good things. Taught me how to speak properly, how to be more fluent, how to interact with people better. Because you go turn 18, you go live in a residency, you got to be growing up real quick, and a lot. So it taught me a lot of good stuff. But
You know, I have to cut you off there.
yeah,
Because I can't resist. But I would say there are a whole lot of kids in university who aren't fit for the trades,
yeah,
not the other way around. Because
yeah.
I truly believe the trades is a much better option these days. But I think what we all need to work towards, and we need to lobby government and the powers that be, is they need to start creating Red Seal trades as degree programs. So in other words, if you've got your Red Seal electrical trade, it should be the equivalent of a Bachelor of Applied Science in Electrical Operations, period. So you can get a degree sitting in university, or you can get a degree out in the field making money. And they're equivalent. So that if you have a Red Seal electrician and you want to go take your master's in business, off you go. You're ready to roll, you know? And I think if that could happen, and it happens that way in Europe, it's not like it's an outlandish idea. But if we could change the education system to recognize trades as a equivalent to a degree, even though I think they're better, I think we would find parents would be a lot more open to the idea of their kids taking trades as opposed to going to university.
I think what you just said is the most important part. The parents would be open to their children going. I think I lived in the States for a year, I don't know, 8, 9, 10, 11 months, something like that. And if you go into the trades in the States, you're kind of looked down on. I mean, that's the honest truth. You really are. It's like a last resort type idea. And I don't ever want to see Canada or BC specifically get to that point. I firmly believe that being in trades is a great thing. And yes, it should be equivalent to getting a Bachelor of Applied Sciences, or however you want to word it. I don't really care how you word it. It should be, it's just as important in this world
More
as what
important.
it is on the even terms of being of everything. And I think, you know, just if you're in the trades, you should be proud that you're in the trades, and you should be
Absolutely.
proud if you're in the trades. You should be proud if you're a doctor. Everyone should be proud of what they do in the end. So another
Well,
question.
being a doctor is a trade.
100%. Yeah. Well, being a chef is a trade. Being a lawyer is a trade. Everything's technically a trade, right?
Well,
So
do you know that the law, the way it used to be taught, was an apprenticeship? So you became a lawyer by apprenticing with a law firm.
yeah, I didn't know that. So there you go. Yeah, I mean, yeah, everything, like I said, I think everything should just be considered. If you've done your 4 years of electrical or 4 years of welding, whatever the term is, that should be considered for lack of a better term, the way I consider it, Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Applied Sciences, whatever it is. And if you want to go on, like you said, to get a master's or to get whatever, you've done your first 4 years. So I think that's a really good idea, something that we should be trying to lobby and look into. So we have a question from the audience here. Does your organization reach all corners of British Columbia?
We try. We're not huge. We're a new charity, and we're continually growing. And our programs are primarily funded through both donations and government funding. But we have tried to the best of our abilities to reach out and get out across BC, because ultimately the skill shortage impacts everybody. And we know the northern BC in a way still has those mythical farm boys and girls. So in a lot of instances, you're still leaps and bounds ahead of urban centers when it comes to skilled workers. But you're going to have the shortages too. I mean, you get a project like LNG Canada's project in Kitimat, and it sucks all the tradespeople from all over the place. So which then is going to impact the smaller companies, and if you want to, if the smaller companies want to be able to bid on these big projects and be involved, they absolutely have to have the skilled workers to make it happen. And I'm sure you know that. And
Oh, yeah.
I'd be curious to hear from you. You mentioned that you're an electrician and have an electrical company. How do you feel about finding enough electricians in the North? Have there been shortages that have been impacting the resource sector in the North?
So the way I would answer that is it depends on the year, for one. If oil in Alberta is kind of gone down, it's easy to find people. You get resumes all the time. Now, if oil is at a steady pace, it's tough. It is very, very tough to find people to supply or to bring into your company. It really does come in waves, though. I think it's a wave. It's a cyclical thing. When we're really busy, we can't get enough people. We
Right.
can't. And when it's slower, you can't file the resumes fast enough because they're continually coming in. So I think the best way to really answer that is if it was busy, if it was always busy, we would always be looking for more, and there wouldn't be a stockpile to kind of reach into and bring in more people.
What about the average age of your tradespeople?
So that has been a recent problem because we were looking as a company for some apprentices just because we didn't have very many, and tough. It was tough to find apprentices. Now COVID might have caused some of that too, to be fair, because classes got extended by a couple months and everything else. But yeah, no, it's the average ages I think have gone up substantially, and we went through a big rebuilding phase in our company, and now it'd be good to have a couple more younger apprentices. And it was tough, I'll tell you. A couple months ago it was real tough to find some.
Yeah.
So but
Yeah.
again, I think you're right, though. I think we just need to have more people involved in trades, and I do think it comes down to an attitude thing, a mental thing too, that we as a society, I always want to harp on this. We don't want to become like the United States, where it's looked down on as of being a tradesperson, because I've seen it firsthand.
So wise. But so the other thing I want to point out, since you mentioned COVID, did you happen to notice who the essential services were during COVID?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we got deemed essential. I mean, every trade's essential, and people
Trades
don't
are
realize
essential.
that. Yeah, 100, and jobs but if we want to just speak on jobs, period, jobs that people take for granted, like when you go to the grocery store and you're dealing with the people that restock the shelves and the cashiers and the produce people, who aren't held in the nicest light. They are so essential to everything we do in this world.
Mhm.
And the way that we treat them when it's not privy to say, or it's not sexy to say thank you to essential workers, is garbage. It's absolute garbage. And I think the way that we're treating people now when it comes to being essential workers is the way that they always should be treated. When I grew up, all my friends applied for McDonald's, all my friends applied for the movie theater, like all these sort of jobs, save on foods. And now it's hard. Now kids they shun on those jobs, and I don't know why, because quite honestly, that's how we grew up. We grew up working in these places, and I think
There's value in work.
there's value in work, and there's
value in work, and there's nothing like a pandemic to really sort of reset values and to remember there's value in work, and be happy if you're an essential service.
No, for sure. Yeah, don't look down on them. I mean, just
oh Lord, no.
I don't understand why that happens. So we have a question from Irv here. How could we make it easier for the apprentices to get their hours to get Red Seal?
How do you make it easier for apprentices to get their hours? Well, that's an interesting question, because the whole concept around applied learning, of course, is that you don't just go to school. You have to get your hours. And in a lot of instances, some of the challenges that apprentices have are, because the trades, and particularly construction trades, not so much manufacturing or other sectors, but it's so cyclical. And you're on the job, and then the project's over, you're off the job. And I think there needs to be a better, the apprenticeship system needs to be handled better. We need apprentices, and I don't know if you know the history of apprenticeship in BC, but we used to have a system that really managed apprentices and made sure that they got their block training when they should, and that they got the hours that they needed, and they had advisors and folks who looked in on employers, and there was actual contracts to make sure that the employer and the apprentice, everybody was doing their piece. And that kind of disappeared for a few years in BC. I think it's coming back. But so I think, when somebody says, how do we make sure that an apprentice gets their hours? I think that if you can't, as an employer, provide that, there may be opportunities to develop group training programs that can pick up the apprentice and move them from employer to employer. And there are some programs like that that are trying to get rolling in BC. But we also don't want to conflict with existing unions who do that work now, So that didn't really answer the question, but there's lots of political implications around that question.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think you answered it the best way you could. I mean, I think part of it is as an apprentice, fortunately for myself, I never had the issues getting hours because, my dad did own the electrical company, but we were always busy at that time. Like it was job after job after job after job. But, like you said, part of the problem is you have a massive project that gets done in August, and then they're the first ones to get laid off because they're not, as we just talked, essential. Like they become, you want to keep your well-groomed guys busy, right?
Yeah.
So you got to, it's a balancing act. And
the
it's
reality.
Tough. Yeah.
One of the things that's happening across Canada is, like Red Seal is harmonized across Canada, they're actually harmonizing the apprenticeship systems across Canada so that you could start your apprenticeship in Alberta, finish it in BC or Nova Scotia or whatever. And they're hoping that in a way helps apprentices be able to move province to province and not have to start all over again.
Yeah. Well, I got another question here. As the executive director of the foundation, have you presented at any events or forums?
Yes, I have, and more than willing to present at others. If anybody has an event or a forum that they think would be a good one for us, I'd love to get out there. Obviously, because we came out of industry, I'm particularly interested always in talking to employers from multiple industries. We don't just work with construction, even though Construction Foundation, that sounds like that's what we would do. But we've done a lot of work with the manufacturing sector, forestry, oil and gas. We're keen to talk to employers to really understand their needs, because as a charity, we're not just focused on, although obviously we're trying to help people and build those skills, we want to do it in a way that makes sense to industry, so that the services and the products that we're developing and the resources are actually being helpful, not just to the individuals, but to the employers who are going to hire these youth. So any chance I get to get out there and to talk about skills and what we're doing, I'm happy to do it. As an example, I actually managed to land a speaking engagement at the World Youth Conference in Russia last summer. So I'll go anywhere to talk if I can get out there.
I think we're having some technical difficulties. Your sound seems to have cut out there. Oh, there we go. It's back. Perfect.
All right.
Awesome. Well, Russia, that must have been fun. I'm sure that was quite an experience, I would imagine, in all of itself.
Russia's got it together when it comes to skilled trades. They actually require young people in high school to take a trade, regardless of what they're doing down the road. Like, they figured it out, right? Beware of Russia.
So I guess, as we're kind of in the closing minutes here, I just want to make sure if anyone's listening to you tonight and they want to get involved with the foundation, how do you want them to go about doing that?
There's lots of ways to get involved. Obviously, we love donations. Anybody who's interested in any of our programs, all they have to do is go on the website. All the opportunities to donate are there. But more than that, I'd love to talk to people who are interested. We're always looking for volunteers out of industry to go into schools, to do presentations, to come to job fairs that we're putting on. You know, we're happy if they're looking for apprentices, or they're looking for, you know, skilled workers. We'll try to connect them with kids who are coming out of school, or we also work with newcomers. We work with, as I say, Indigenous communities. Any chance we have to connect people into employment, we're happy to do that. So go on our website, all our contact information is there. Give me a call, shoot me an email. We want to connect.
Well, I think that's the main theme here tonight is that you guys want to help BC move into the future, and you guys want to connect with everybody. So I mean, the BCRC and the Construction Foundation, I think that's a cool little mix that we have going on there, and we look forward to maybe bringing you on the podcast in the future or another show. And this has been lots of fun, even though we didn't talk enough badminton. Maybe we'll do that on.
I was just going to say, I would like to challenge you to a badminton game.
Oh, I think you would beat me in badminton. I'm not going to.
I will spank you.
Well, that's good. That's really good. So do you have any closing thoughts or anything else that you would like to add?
You know, just really appreciative of the opportunity to come on this podcast. Really enjoyed it. I think what you guys are doing is really interesting. I'm going to be watching the BCRC to see where that's going, because totally line up with your philosophy, and to the extent that we can support that with apprenticeship grants, and we do research too, so that more conversations need to be had. But my final thought, if anybody's listening, you got kids, or if you're a young person, for heaven's sakes, go into the trades.
100% agree with that. So I'm just going to announce actually next week's guest here. We're going to be off until the 20th, which is lots of fun. I mean, that's 9 days off from the next show I have to do. So that's always good news for me. Our next guest on August 20th is the Caribou Prince George MP, Todd Doherty. I can't wait to have him on. That is going to be lots of fun. I look forward to having a really good conversation with Mr. Doherty, and with seeing where we can go with that. So again, spread the news on that. That's going to be a cool little thing next week on Thursday at 7:15 on the BCRC show. Will be Todd Doherty. So Abigail Fulton, thank you very, very much for coming on.
Thank you.
Look forward to doing this again sometime. So for Abigail Fulton, my name is Clint Chappell, and this has been the BCRC show. Have a great night.